Bing bong, bing bong. Bing, 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 bong. Bing, bing bong. Hello everyone, welcome back to more 428 SHIBUYA Scramble. Last time we got through the 2 p.m. time block. Now we're doing the whatchamacallit, 3 p.m. time block. I'm so fucking out of it today, and I'm probably gonna bleed into tomorrow as well. I got a busy long night ahead, and then an early morning, so ooh. Hello, Fruv and Snack Time. Hello. What were we doing last time? Maria was held at gunpoint. Achi and Hitomi met up with, Kano, oh yeah, Sasayama got fucking stabbed. Minorikawa, yeah. And then Osawa went to call Minorikawa. So this time I want to start off with Maria's because she was about to get fucking shot at by the caned gunman. The gunned caneman. Wait, hold on. Is my name Hitomi Osawa? At my shout, the man with the cane hesitates, his finger on the trigger. What do you mean by that? The barrel of the gun is still aimed squarely at my head. I mean exactly what I said. Is my name Hitomi Osawa? I don't know who I am. You're trying to play games with me. I'm not playing with anyone, I swear. I'm utterly desperate now. Getting killed is one thing, but who wants to die without even knowing who they are? See, dementia patients. Tell me, am I Hitomi Osawa or not? The man gives me a good hard look. Damn it, I wonder. He continues to study me along the barrel of the gun. Tell me what you know. It's an order. No, tell me what you know. It's an order, not a request. What I know about what? Look, I have amnesia. I quickly summarize what's happened to me since I woke up in that storehouse. The man listens intently, never taking his eyes off me. Ah, I see. So that's what's going on then. Once I'm done with my story, the man with the cane sits down on an empty soda crate. He seems he believes me at any rate. That's a relief if nothing else. So then, am I Hitomi Osawa? No. Then who is Hitomi Osawa? Is she someone who looks like me? Shut your mouth, the man spits. Just be quiet. His expression is vacant. Vacant. What am I going to do? He mutters to himself. Let me see if I can fix the mic. I don't like how it's positioned. It's an egregious angle. I need it pointed more towards my mouth. There we go. His expression is vacant. What am I going to do? He mutters to himself. If I'm not Hitomi Osawa, does that mean you don't have any business with me? Seems so. In that case, can I go? The assassin doesn't answer. He lets his pistol hang limp in his hand and the muzzle dropping to point at the ground. It doesn't look like he wants to kill me anymore, but it doesn't look like he'll just let me go quietly either. I remain motionless, waiting for an opportunity to run away. I might not make it in time. Or I might not make it in time, the man murmurs to himself under his breath. Not make it in time for what? I'm curious now, but this is hardly the time or place to try to find out more. I've learned for certain that I'm not Hitomi Osawa, which basically tells me nothing. I'm right back to square one on figuring out who I am. The assassin has gone quiet, sitting on a pile of crates. He seems lost in thought. Still, I don't dare try to get away. All I can do is stand and wait and mull over my own situation. Just who am I? I ask myself again and again. I am... No, I have no business with you, the man finally says. Go. Don't worry, I won't follow you. I wonder if I can believe him. Maybe he's just trying to get me off my guard so he can shoot me in the back. Do not go to the police or go back home, he continues. Lay low by yourself somewhere for a while. How long is a while? Until around sundown. This should all be over by then. It'll all be over? I have no idea what it is, but I decide not to pry in case he decides to change his mind. Okay, I'm gonna run away now. Sure. I take a slow step backward. I'm starting to turn away when he speaks up again. Before you go, I need to tell you one more thing. What's that? When you get your memories back, I'm sure you're going to hate me. And so I apologize in advance. Of course, I have no idea what he's talking about, but it makes me even more uneasy. Uneasy. I truly am sorry. I've got no response for that, so I just run. So I just give the man one last look before I turn and run. Yeah, he thinks he's going to succeed at killing Hitomi Osawa. So that's not good. I decide to look for some place to hide out for a while, as the gunman suggested. But since I don't really know my left from my right in this town, that's easier said than done. Before I realize it, I've made my way back to the knick-knack shop where I bought the necklace. Maybe I could hide out in here? As I contemplate that possibility, I hear an all too familiar voice. Tama, 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 Tama! There's Mr. Yanagashita on the floor of the shop. He's been tied up with some rope. What happened, boss? Look, I was framed. Nah, whatever's happened, I'm pretty sure it was all his fault. Just call it a hunch. He says I'm a thief. Well, I say he's the thief for selling that stuff he finds around town. Hey, the sales... What the hell did I just hear? Hey! The sales clerk steps into view, scowling. What are you implying? What in the world is going on here? I haven't the foggiest. Tama, help me, please. Thank you for that clip. Do you know this man? The sales clerk asks. No. Well, I mean, sorta. He's a real pain. He's been making a scene like this for as long as he's been here. I find it hard to imagine a worse way to interfere with someone's business. I hate to ask, the clerk continues, but could you take him to the police for me? The police? Yeah. Oh, well, the police. The gunman did specifically warn me not to go to them. I feel no loyalty to that killer, but I'm reluctant to antagonize him. And for reasons I can't explain, I have a strong sense that going to the police right now is a bad move. But Mr. Yanagashita isn't privy to my thoughts, and he looks up at me with a hopeful gleam in his eye. Yeah, that'll work. Tama can take me to the police. Then we can put all this behind us. All's well that ends well, right? Well, sure. Feeling like I have no choice, I leave the shop with him. Whee! Okay, Mr. Yanagashita says excitedly as soon as we're out of earshot. Now let's go find Shiri. Huh? Are we going to the police? What? No, we're not really gonna go. Oh man, am I so glad you showed up, Tama. Now come on, let's go find Shiri. From the big grin on his face, I have an inkling of what's coming next. You've thought of another get-rich-quick scheme, haven't you? Goodness, Tama, you can see right through me. It's not that difficult. It's practically written all over your face, boss. But Mr. Yanagashita isn't really listening. He's too full of enthusiasm. This time I got a line on 10 million yen. So come on, let's go make ourselves stinking rich. He punctuates his grand announcement by pointing fervently at some non-existent listener. Me? I exist. Several weeks later. Oh shit. Iron Stomach, a celebration of truly astonishing appetites. When the mighty stomach triumphs over... I stand with Chiri on the winner's podium. The cheers and applause are deafening when the master of ceremonies makes the announcement. Chiri is the champion. She laughs with delight as she holds up the trophy that signifies her 10 million yen win. And me, I got runner-up. I wasn't too into the idea at first, but after giving it a shot, I found that professional gluttony kind of grows on you. Even I was surprised by how much I could eat, and I had to admit it felt kind of good. My memory still hasn't come back, but that doesn't matter anymore. I found myself a new purpose. To steal Chiri's spot on the throne. That right there is now my greatest goal in life. The Throne of Gluttony. Tama never got her memories back. She ended up starting a new life on the competitive eating circuit, which may not be a horrible fate, but wouldn't it be better if she recovered her old life as Maria? When she was cornered in the alley by that man with the cane, there's someone who could have turned up and helped her out, Yanagashita. But he can't do that if he ends up getting tied at the knick-knack shop. Interesting. That's funny as shit. Have any of you seen that ending before? It's pretty good. Kano practically dived from the car when it arrived on the scene in Mario Macho. The place was teeming with officers and onlookers alike. Out of the way, please! Please move aside! Kano forced his way through the throng. Sasayama was lying in a massive pool of blood. Sasayama! Kano rushed to his partner's side. The knife was still embedded deep in Sasayama's belly. Its handle shuddered each time he drew a labored breath. Guess I messed up. Sasayama could only manage a raspy murmur. Please don't try to talk, Kano urged. Looks like I won't be celebrating the Mrs. birthday. Sasayama drew a small package from his pocket. It had been neatly wrapped and fitted in a pretty little ribbon. Here, give this to Mi-chan for me. Kano shook his head. No way! You can give it to her yourself! You've never met Mi-chan, huh? She's real pretty.
Probably surprised how pretty she...
I know. You've told me all about her.
Kano, please. Give this to my wife for me.
Mustering up the last of his strength, Sasayama pressed the gift into Kano's hand. Sasayama? Sasayama's hand dropped back down into the puddle of blood. The paramedic team finally arrived at the scene. As Sasayama was loaded into the ambulance, Kano felt a surge of rage roiling inside him. Clenching his fist so hard his nails dug into his palm, he marched over to the captive, Al-Karawan. You son of a bitch! He wound up for a punch to Al-Karawan's face, only to have his arm caught forcibly by the elbow. Spinning his head around, he found Stanley standing there. Let go of me, Stanley! But the American had a grip of steel, and Kano's arm wouldn't budge. They allow you to assault suspects here in Japan, do they? Kano bit his lip, then lowered his shaking fist. No, of course not, he growled. Al-Karawan let out a nasal chuckle as he watched the pair. With a cold glare, Stanley strolled over to him. He leaned in close to whisper something, and all at once the blood drained from Al-Karawan's face. Visibly shaken, Al-Karawan said something back to Stanley. Stanley gave a slight nod, then left the captive with the police escort. Kano went over to him. Hey, what was that all about? Apparently, Al-Karawan gave Hitomi some instructions. Told her to get into a blue minivan that was parked along Dogonzaka. So Stanley's hunch had been correct. But why had Al-Karawan confessed so quickly? How'd you get him to talk? You don't need to know that. Turning on his heel, Stanley went to report the news about the blue van to the task force. Kuze immediately directed the detectives nearest Dogonzaka to look into it, but they found no blue minivan in the area. The order then came down for all personnel to search for the vehicle. Kano thought back to another item in the Dick diary. Dick dictum number 14. Use the dead as a stepping stone, but be sure to die a stepping stone yourself. In the abstract, Kano could appreciate the nobility of self-sacrifice, but when he thought of Sasayama's blood-stained figure, it wasn't so easy to keep his emotions in check. First time you've ever seen a fellow officer get hurt? Stanley had come back over to him. We don't have time to relax. If you can't keep your anger in, then do something about it, here and now. Stanley pointed to his own jaw. Hit me, American style. Kano smiled wryly at the unexpected proposal. Without a word, Kano threw a punch. Stanley soaked up the rage-fueled blow, his face a mask of calm. Kano felt all the more miserable in the face of such unflinching resolve. If I weren't such a bumbling clod, Sasayama would have never... Hey, don't blame yourself, Stanley said. You guys have been doing better than I expected. More sarcasm, huh? Stanley's mouth curled up sheepishly, and he held his hands wide. Kuze's voice suddenly cut in over the wireless. We've located the blue minivan! It's in Jinano 1 Chome, on Koendori! Hitomi might be there, and maybe the kidnapper's ringleader will turn up too. On pure reflex, Kano broke into a run. Stanley followed close behind him. They sped through the back streets, making their way towards Koendori. Kano was a pretty fast runner, but Stanley kept up with him without apparent difficulty. Were you in the army or something? No, the Marines. United States Marine Corps, a rapid deployment force specializing in amphibious landing operations. an independent branch of the armed forces along with the Army, Navy, and Air Force. The Marines' motto is Semper Fidelis, Latin for always faithful. It wasn't much further to Koandori. Kano, if we find that van, don't get too close, Stanley warned. It could be a trap. These people will do anything to carry out their goals. Anything, huh? Kano could sense the truth of Stanley's words. He reminded himself that his life could depend on remembering them. He raised his eyes. They were coming up on Koandori. Suddenly, a boom as loud as cannon fire shook the area. Something's wrong, Kano thought. That's no ordinary city noise. A column of black smoke rose up from between two nearby buildings. Passers-by stopped and stared, gasping in alarm. Oh, fuck. Intro moment. Then Kano saw flames. This hadn't been an accident. Someone had set off an explosion. Several people were on the ground nearby, evidently injured by the detonation. Mr. Minorikawa! Mr. Minorikawa! A high school-aged girl was crying, clinging tightly to a man who'd been caught in the blast. Kano recognized her as the girl he talked to earlier during the traffic jam. The man looked like he might be still alive. Kano hurried over to them. "Police!" he announced. Blood was streaming from the man's mouth. He'd clearly suffered some internal damage. "Hang in there, buddy," Kano told him. "Stay with us." The man's face twisted up in pain, but somehow he managed to croak out a few words. Kano let out a gasp. The man's voice was almost too weak to hear, but what he said still shook Kano to the core. This man knew something important. Something crucial to the investigation. Rescue vehicles arrived on the scene, and the wounded man was promptly loaded onto a stretcher. When he was placed inside the ambulance, Kano flashed his badge at the paramedics and got in alongside him. The man had already fallen unconscious. Kano didn't know when he'd wake back up, but he knew what he needed to hear what the guy had to say. He sensed that this stranger was the key to unlocking the entire case. But though Kano kept a lonely vigil, the man never woke again. The antiviral that had been given to Hitomi, the blue minivan Al-Karawan told Hitomi to look for, and now the minivan exploding. Kano was sure this man had known how all of these tied together, but now the key to solving the case was gone for good. What a fucked up bad ending. A blown lead. Kano tried to get information from a man who was caught in the explosion, Minorikawa, but he arrived too late. If Minorikawa hadn't been caught in the blast, things would have gone differently for Kano. At 5:30, somebody shouts something, and depending on what they shout, both Kano and Minorikawa's fates may change. Somebody shouts something. Jesus. I mean, maybe in Achi's, like, portion. Kanan led them into a narrow back alley. The moment she stopped, Hitomi spoke up. Members of SOS don't come by here very much. Word has it that in this place, around 10 years ago, one man beat the crap out of seven street toughs in the blink of an eye, all by himself. Over time, people have offered various theories, that he was an assassin, that he was some foreign soldier, even that he might have been a ghost. and to this day the urban legend lives on. Why was my sister kidnapped? Before I answer that, there's something I need to tell you, Kanan said. Her tone was cold and sharp. I've come to Japan because I'm on a mission. I'm not at liberty to discuss all the details. All right. Hitomi gave a slight nod. To answer your question, Maria was kidnapped by mistake. What? Hitomi gasped. But why? Because this kidnapper isn't after Maria. They're after you. Who's after me? The mastermind behind this whole thing, Kanan said. Her tone was matter-of-fact. Whoa, hold on, Achi interrupted. What do they want Hitomi for? That I cannot say. Then who is this person? I can't tell you that either. You see, their sex, nationality, age, appearance, just about everything about them is shrouded in mystery. So there's honestly not much I can tell you. Achi and Hitomi stood dumbfounded. What gives? Achi said. So you're saying all you know about this person has some lame name like Mastermind? Hitomi turned to whisper in his ear. Mastermind isn't actually their name. Originally used solely to refer to someone of remarkable intellect, the term first took on its criminal connotations in the 19th century. I'm here, Kanan spat, because I'm looking for revenge. Revenge? Wait, revenge? Hitomi asked. What for? This person also killed my friend. Kanan's inscrutable eyes flashed with a threatening gleam. Earlier you said that it was your fault my sister got kidnapped, Hitomi said. Kanan cast her eyes down. 4 days ago, I managed to learn this criminal's plan, so I got in touch with Maria and told her that you were going to be attacked at that party. So that's why she told me not to go. Hitomi's voice trembled as she spoke. I gave Maria a small GPS tracker to give to you, but I guess you never got it? Global Positioning System, a network of man-made satellites and ground-based control stations for providing geolocation data. Alternately, a device that makes use of said system. Modern cell phones and vehicle navigation systems use GPS. That noise. That noise is awful. Hitomi shook her head. I see. You must still have it then. Wait. So then my sister... The color drained from Hitomi's face as she understood. Yes, Kanan replied. Maria acted as a decoy and let herself get kidnapped in your stead. Hitomi swayed on her feet, shocked to the verge of fainting. Achi hurriedly reached out and caught her in his arms. But wait, he said to Kanan as he held Hitomi up. I don't get that either. Why did neither of them go? Then no one would have been kidnapped, right? I mean, why'd her sister need to go and act as a decoy? Kanan let out a tiny sigh. If she hadn't gone to the party, the kidnappers would have just found some other opportunity to come after her. Ah, okay. Achi nodded. That sort of makes sense. I'm betting that Maria's plan was to use the GPS to lead me to these guys' hideout. She wanted to keep her sister safe, and also figured she could help me with my mission. It's the sort of scheme she'd think of. So then you can't use the GPS to locate Hitomi's sister? Achi asked. Kanan shook her head. The GPS hasn't been powered on since she was kidnapped. It's possible the kidnappers took it from her. Wait, what? So after all that, even you can't find Maria? Achi slumped his shoulders in disappointment. I didn't say that. What do you mean? I got some intel from those syndicate members we met earlier. Apparently sometime this morning, they put Maria into a blue minivan, and since then they've been moving her all around Shibuya. Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances at the mention of a blue minivan. Unfortunately, Kanan continued, those operatives didn't know what the current situation was exactly. So we're back to the blue van then. Achi hurriedly explained that they'd been through what they'd been through so far. He mentioned how they'd first seen the blue van where the kidnappers had told Hitomi to find it. He also described how first the man with the cane and then a host of others had come after them. He got a little sidetracked here and there, but Kanan quietly listened to the end. I see, she muttered. So then, what do you think? Achi asked. Seems like we messed up their scheme a little, huh? Whatever the case, this man with the cane concerns me. Whatever the case. Yeah, Kanan said. I doubt he's working with the others. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's it. Some guy who isn't involved and butts in and throws off their whole plan. Kanan nodded in agreement. Because you and that man with the cane showed up, she said. They couldn't leave the minivan where it was. They took a sensible precaution. But then if you think about it, isn't this an opportunity for us to turn the tables on Mr. Mastermind? Kanan flashed him a faint speculative smile. I wonder about that. Oh, come on, Achi grumbled. You're such a buzzkill. Any well-made plan has a good, solid outline, which means that even after it has come to fruition, it's easy to trace things back to the planner. Is that how that works? By contrast, if you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred and makes it harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Achi swallowed hard as he took in the gravity of the situation. Well, but, I mean, like, if there's an accident, people are gonna for sure panic. Plan or not. The corners of Kanan's lips curled up. Typically, I suppose, she said. But the people who are after Hitomi, not only have they put together a perfect plan, they've purposefully left certain tiny holes in it. And so we can't even figure out who they are. The outline of the plan is always too blurry. Achi had no response to that. It was like he was hearing about some completely different world beyond the one he knew. If what Kanan had said was true, he'd been dealing with opponents that were on a level way above his own. In any event, since these people are after you, it'd be best if you didn't wander around town anymore, Kanan told him. By now, Hitomi had recovered. She stood up straight and shook her head. No, I'm going to find that blue minivan. My sister is in danger because of me. Can't abandon her just to save myself. Yeah, that's right. Achi patted Hitomi on the back. And if that's what you're gonna do, then I don't care who we're up against. I'm with you in this until the end. Heck, it's too late for me to head back out now. That ship has already failed. Hitomi giggled despite herself. It's already sailed, Achi. Yeah! Kanan let out another little sigh. Alright, just make sure you're extra careful, she said. You can't count on getting bailed out of trouble like you've done before. I understand, Hitomi said. Her eyes showed no trace of doubt or fear. Kanan gave her a slight nod, then quickly disappeared down the alleyway. Right then, Achi said. Want to get back to looking for that minivan? Then he stopped, remembering their previous efforts. They just heedlessly wandered around town. They'd probably end up in the same trouble they'd encountered before. They'd get chased by the man with the cane or by the kidnappers, and their search would be interrupted yet again. What should they do then? There had to be a better way. Achi happened to glance upward and caught a sight of a surveillance camera that had installed in one of the streetlights. That's it! God, Can't believe I didn't think of that before. Hitomi peered at him, startled by his sudden shouting. We just need to use my old man's surveillance cameras and this will be a breeze. Achi regarded him with suspicion. No, the Ayakamiki ads in the background. Yeah? Why do you ask? Do you happen to be a member yourself? No. No, not anymore. The man's eyes flashed with a gleam of recognition. Did this guy know who he was? With a broad grin, the stranger took a step closer. Achi's heart sank. He couldn't afford to get caught up in some new hassle right now. Hitomi flashed him a worried look. Let's go. Achi and Hitomi dodged past the man and hurried onward. Even if the guy was harmless, they needed to be on their guard. There was no telling just how many thugs and assassins were looking for Hitomi. Hold on. Get out of here. Rather than head directly for the surveillance building, Achi decided he better make sure the stranger wasn't up to something. Hitomi followed as he slipped quickly into a back alley. There was no indication that the man was following them. What was that guy's deal? Hitomi asked. No idea. But he sure seemed kind of fishy. Doesn't look like he's coming after us, though. They took a quick detour through another seedy back alley. Then, as they were starting to head towards their original destination, Achi felt a sudden searing pain in his back. Glancing over his shoulder, he discovered that one of the foreign syndicate members had crept up and struck him from behind. Oh no.
Oh no. I've been stabbed.
Ah! Hitomi screamed. Another man had suddenly appeared, grabbing her by the arms.
Hitomi.
Achi tried to reach out to her, but his arm was leaden. His body refused to obey his commands. The attacker wrenched the knife from his back. As the attacker wrenched the knife from his back, Achi felt the blood gushing out of his wound. The two men started to drag Hitomi away. He tried to pursue them, but his legs faltered and couldn't find their footing. He was losing blood so fast he was starting to fade from consciousness. Achi could only watch, impotently, as Hitomi was dragged further and further away. That's chilling. Achi got stabbed, caught in a surprise attack by one of the kidnappers. He could only watch helplessly as Hitomi was taken away. If that weird guy hadn't tried to talk to him, Achi would never have taken the risk of wandering through the alleys. But how can you keep that guy from wanting to interview Achi? Well, guess there's only one thing to do but go to Minorikawa. Wait a second. I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. Gah! Minorikawa stopped and let out a cry of frustration. Daisuke Endo had asked him for a favor after their interview was done. He'd promised to tell the Wandering Angels that the dry ice machine they'd purchased was defective. Episode 5. At last, the climax of the play drew near. There was a whole string of troubles, but as the cast soldiered on, and it looked like things were going to end all right, then backstage, Bondo noticed that the dry ice machine was acting strangely. Even after it had been turned off, the machine continued to churn out more dry ice. The producer, Tsukazawa, demanded that the defective device be returned immediately, and so Tozuka, Bondo, and Amo loaded it into their vehicle and left the theater. Well, damn. That had completely slipped his mind. If he recalled correctly, the issue was that once the machine started making dry ice, it wouldn't stop. If he ran back to the theater now, he'd lose about 10 minutes. Minorikawa just checked his wristwatch. The lone people would be coming by the editing office before too long. He needed to prove to them that next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip was well underway, or else they'd refuse to wait any longer for repayment. Yeah, these endings were, one of these was not like the other. Like, you know, arson, murder, and jaywalking. And to do that, he needed to fill a minimum of 6 of the 12 remaining blank pages. He couldn't afford to waste even a single second. This was an awkward position to be in. He needed to keep his promise to Endo, but he also needed to spend his time wisely. Guess I don't have a choice. He agreed to take on a responsibility. He'd agreed to take on a responsibility. He headed back for the theater. When he got there, he flagged down the first guy he saw to tell him about the dry ice machine. Hey, make sure you remember what I'm about to tell you, okay? The dry ice machine is broken. The man stared back at him blankly, but Minorikawa just forged ahead. Got it? The dry ice machine is broken. It needs to go back to the electronics store. Make sure you let the folks in charge here know. His obligation met, he hurried back to the cafe to get back to work on his copy. There was nothing he could do about having forgotten. He hurried on to the cafe. Sorry, Endo. Sorry, Ori. You're just gonna have to let this one slide. I've got Toyama's life on the line here. He opened the door to the cafe with the patience of a regular. Welcome. The waitress only got that far before her face fell. You again? Yeah, hey, hurry up and get me a seat. She grinned wickedly. I'm terribly sorry, sir, but we're all full at the moment. He looked around. All of the seats were indeed filled. As you can see, sir. Really now? The waitress's grin widened with triumph. Yes, sir. Fine, I'll just write here. Let me get some power. Oh, you fuckface, man. Jamming his power cable into a nearby outlet, Minorikawa plunked himself right down on the floor and booted up his laptop. The waitress watched in dismay, then turned to stare vacantly up at the ceiling. Just do whatever you want, she muttered vaguely. You know, a person can only get away with being obnoxious for so long. Sooner or later, someone's likely to call the police. Minorikawa looked up. Wait. You know, a person can only get away with being obnoxious for so long. Sooner or later, someone's likely to call the police. Minorikawa looked up from his work, startled to see the burning hammer salesman standing over him. You're Mr. Yanagashita. Thank you so much for stopping by earlier. Are you going to write your article here? Miss Yanagashita eyed Minorikawa's computer. Ooh, that's the latest model, isn't it? Look, I got no time to talk right now. Minorikawa opened up the file with his half-written copy. Ooh, what's this? Chaos at bogus weight loss drink sales demo. Yanagashita read the copy aloud. The organizer, Junichi Yanagashita, didn't merely have a whiff of deceit about him. His breath also stunk. Sound good? Minorikawa asked. I wanted to make sure I gave an accurate impression. Oh, I love what you've done with it. This is a great copy. Fantastic. Yanagashita turned to look at him with a manic grin. Yeah, isn't it? In a flash, Yanagashita's face went from grinning to livid. Like hell it is! You think I'm gonna just let you write something like that? Snatching up the computer, Yanagashita bolted out of the cafe. Hey, get back here! Minorikawa leapt to his feet and rushed off in pursuit. As he sprinted madly along, Yanagashita turned down a narrow alley. Minorikawa stayed close behind, desperate not to lose sight of him. His quarry began to weave his way through the back alleys of Shibuya. This guy clearly knew his way around town. By Miyashita Park, they zipped up onto a pedestrian bridge. Just where the heck was this idiot going? Halfway across the overpass, Yanagashita suddenly stopped. Confused, Minorikawa stopped as well. Give that back, he called. You fucker. The next moment, Yanagashita Where have I seen this before? Yanagashita flashed a mocking grin and dangled the laptop over the railing. Uh-oh. Minorikawa lunged towards him, but it was already too late. The laptop left Yanagashita's hand and went spinning down through the air. Then, as the two men struggled, Yanagashita himself toppled over the railing. Without hesitating, Minorikawa jumped down as well. Whoa! Minorikawa landed hard. Yanagashita landed harder. As he struggled to regain his breath, he looked around and saw Yanagashita beside him. Incredibly, the laptop was safe in the charlatan's grasp. Apparently, he'd somehow managed to catch it in midair. Minorikawa could be too relieved. However, Yanagashita got to his feet and took off running again. Get back here, you little weasel! I don't think so! This Yanagashita guy was infuriating. That, and he was really fast. Minorikawa considered himself a decent runner, but he couldn't manage to gain on Yanagashita. If running away was a competitive sport, this guy would be a world-class superstar. As he ran along, a peculiar thought occurred to him. Hold on a minute. If he hates my copy that much, shouldn't he have wanted my computer to break? Why'd he go out of his way to catch it like that? It made no sense at all. Hey! Minorikawa shouted between gasping breaths. What are you planning to do with my laptop? Yanagashita glanced back at him. Gonna sell it. Sorry about this. What? Minorikawa was taken aback. Consider it compensation for defamation of character. In the civil sense, the act of unlawfully damaging another person's character or reputation in the public eye. In the criminal sense, the act of disseminating damaging facts about an individual to an unspecified large number of people. Come on, get real. It can't be defamation if the article hasn't run yet. Then consider an advance on the compensation. This was so nonsensical it made Minorikawa's head hurt. But now at least he knew why Yanagashita had dived after the computer. The thief continued to weave his way through the side streets. His speed didn't diminish in the slightest. Damn it, this guy has too much experience running away. If only there were some sort of loud concussive event to make him stop. Minorikawa's stamina began to fade, and finally he lost sight of his quarry. But that didn't mean he was ready to give up his search. There were articles in that computer that were right on the verge of completion. Whatever it took, he had to get it back. Yanagashita had said he was going to sell it. Where could he be headed then? Probably he was headed to a knick-knack shop. Minorikawa recalled seeing one near the Burning Hammer demo site. He also recalled seeing a poster outside that place that read, "We buy computers at top prices." Damn. The guy had led him on a wild goose chase. That shop was surely where he was going to sell the laptop. Gulping a deep breath, he headed in that direction. There you are, Yanagashita. Minorikawa burst into the shop on Center Guy, an accusing finger pointing squarely at the thief. Listen! There's no way I'm buying a computer that doesn't have a power cable. Details, details. All you sell here is junk anyway. Yanagashita and the shopkeeper had gotten into an argument. Minorikawa recognized the shopkeeper. It was the guy he'd run into on the roadside earlier. That computer belongs to me, Minorikawa shouted as he marched up to them. Give it back. Yanagashita clutched the laptop to his chest. Nuh-uh, I need the money. Knock it off, you're acting like a child. Minorikawa tried to slap him out of his tantrum, but Yanagashita ducked to avoid the blow. Then, bizarrely, Yanagashita froze. A fierce gleam came to his eyes. He broke into an incomprehensible stammer. That's it! Yanagashita snatched up a flyer that his gaze had fixed on. Iron stomach, huh? This right here is my little blue bird of happiness, he cried. You know what? You can have this. Yanagashita shoved the laptop into Minorikawa's arms. and welcome to it, you idiot. I don't need no worthless computer. You're the idiot, Buster. Minorikawa smacked Yanagashita right across the face. Ouch! Hitting him felt good. He decided to do it again. He drew back his arm to deliver another blow, but then someone else came up into the shop. Yanagashita's eyes lit up as they saw who it was. Oh, my angel! Whatever is my darling Miku doing here? Miku stood in the doorway on the verge of tears. Mr. Minorikawa, she began, then her voice choked up. Miku, what's the matter? Is something wrong? Miku drew in close to Minorikawa's side. Huh? Yanagashita's gaze darted back and forth between Minorikawa and Miku. You two know each other? Sort of. More to the point. Is she the girl you said you were in love with? That's right, the one and only Miku! I have her entrance music set as my ringtone. Paying no heed to Yanagashita's excitement, Miku kept her eyes fixed on Minorikawa. I lost to a girl who knows Jujutsu. I lost! She buried her face in Minorikawa's chest. Ah! Yanagashita let out a gasp. What's this about? What is this all about? He seemed on the verge of panic. Mr. Minorikawa, I need to learn Aiki Jujutsu. I feel so ashamed. She buried her face even deeper into Minorikawa's chest. That's so unfair! With tears in his eyes, Yanagashita darted out the door. Minorikawa glared after the pathetic fellow as he scampered off. This guy sure knows how to take advantage of a bad situation. I'll give him that, he murmured. Anyhow, I'm just glad I got my partner back. Ordinarily, he'd be inclined to pursue Yanagashita and subject him to a tirade, at the very least, but there was no time for that just now. He explained the situation to the shopkeeper, who flashed a sympathetic smile. Ah, is that so? Lucky for you he screwed up then. Much as I'm happy to do business. I just can't buy a computer that doesn't come with its accessories. So you'd have bought it from him if he had the accessories. Of course. Stolen or not, it's all the same once I've stole it. The shopkeeper chuckled unapologetically. Heh, suppose that's true. Minorikawa laughed along with him. Yeah, all the same. Like hell it is, he roared. The shopkeeper froze like a startled rabbit. I bet everything you have for sale here has been stolen, hasn't it? Don't be ridiculous. I'll warn you up front, there's no use hiding things from me. I've interviewed you, after all. I know you. The shopkeeper was getting more and more flustered.
Well, I mean, look, this is just between you and me, okay? Sometimes I go around gathering stuff that people have lost and I sell it here. If it's not stolen, just repurposed. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The shopkeeper smiled ingratiatingly. You moron! Minorikawa stuck his finger in the man's face. You're missing a quote there. Selling lost property is a serious crime too. Potential violation of Article 245 or 254 of the Penal Code of Japan regarding embezzlement of lost property, which states a person who embezzles lost property, drift property, or any other property which belongs to another person and is in no one's possession shall be punished by imprisonment with work for not more than 1 year, a fine of not more than 100,000 yen, or a petty fine. It is? Well, I mean, I guess I sort of figured it might be. Sometimes. Well, I'm not the police. I'm more into curiosity than legality. In fact, I find this all pretty fascinating. I mean, what sort of things have you gathered up for sale? Well, let me see. Like this and that and that and that. The man pointed to various items on his shelves. And also this and that and that and that and that, I guess? Minorikawa's eyes were directed all over the shop. Everything the shopkeeper had pointed out had a hefty price tag. And you're actually able to sell things like this? Minorikawa asked. Sure, I can sell stuff. Earlier today, someone bought a big necklace. I'd listed it for 40,000 yen, but I discounted it down to 30,000. And you can still make a profit even after offering discounts? Sure, I mean, it was just something I found lying on the ground after all. Minorikawa looked back at him, and for a moment he laughed as well. Then his face turned hard. This is no laughing matter, he bellowed. You need to stop what you're doing here right away. Otherwise, you're gonna find out what it's like to get punished by my pen of justice. I'm so sorry. The shopkeeper bowed repeatedly. Minorikawa glared. The truth was that right now he was so busy he'd never have to let this guy slide. Still, this whole asinine affair had eaten up a big chunk of time he didn't have to waste. He was going to have to finish up his copy back at the editing office. Laptop in hand, he left the shop, only to stop short when a slight figure stepped out in front of him. Mr. Minorikawa. Miku stood there, barring his path. Please, introduce me to a dojo where I can learn Aikijutsu. I'm sorry, I really don't have the time for this right now. Minorikawa tried to hurry onward, but she stubbornly refused to let him pass. You introduced me to that other dojo before, right? Remember? I suppose so, now that you mention it. He tried to slip by her on her right-hand side, but she was quick to block him. You're the one who introduced me to the world of martial arts, Mr. Minorikawa. Well, yes, you know, you're putting me in a bit of a bind here. Trying to slip by on her left was a no-go, too. She could anticipate his every move. Please, just hear me out, Miku said. He was speaking through quiet sobs now. Can't stand to leave things like this. She looked Minorikawa right in the eye. This is a good opportunity for you. You can find something to do with yourself that isn't martial arts. What? You were the champion at that one pub, right? Maybe now that you're done with that, you should find a more girlish line of work instead. Miku began to tremble. Oh my god. You jerk! Miku delivered a blindingly fast slap to Minorikawa's cheek. Why'd you have to put it like that? You're so mean! Bursting into tears, Miku ran off. Hey, Miku! She gave no sign she'd heard him, and didn't turn around. Minorikawa rubbed his cheek. It stung. For once, he actually regretted what he said. Maybe he shouldn't have assumed she'd be willing to just give up her hobby. He did, in fact, know of several Aikijutsu dojos.
If only he had the time, he could have introduced her easily enough. Checking his watch, he saw that he only had 30 minutes and change until 4 o'clock. There was no more wiggle room at this point. These articles needed to get written, and fast. He needed to get back to the editing department. And yet... Oh, damn it all to hell. I can't get work done like this. Norikawa broke into a run. But he didn't run for Heaven Publishing. Instead, he went after Miku. Oh, shit. So now I guess some fates have been changed. So let's see about Kano. Wait. To the computer room. Hachi didn't slow his pace until they were nearing their destination. He turned to look back at Hitomi. It's only a little bit further now. Do you want to walk? I'll be alright. Ah, Hachi, look out! Looking ahead, Hachi saw that they were bearing down on a young grade school girl. Her head hung in dismay. Hachi! Hurriedly caught the girl up in his arms. The maneuver kept her out of harm's way, but the momentum swung her high into the air. She dropped a sheaf of papers she was carrying. As luck would have it, the papers fell amidst the trash scattered alongside the road. Whoops, sorry. Hachi stopped to gather up the sheets of paper, noting that each was adorned with some sort of writing. Here, looks like they kind of got messed up though. The pages had landed in some kind of spilled liquid. Most of them had gotten stained. It's all right, the girl said gloomily. You should just throw them away. It's not like I can sell them now anyway. You're going to sell them? Hitomi asked. We're sorry. Do you think you'll be able to redo them? Hachi. Wait, we're sorry. You think you'll be able to redo them? Hachi, is there a stationery store around here? Yeah, up at the top of Dogenzaka, Hachi said. Here. He took out a 5,000 yen note from his wallet and offered it to the girl. To buy new paper. I know I can't replace the stuff you wrote, but... The girl eyed the money doubtfully. But... It's fine. Go ahead, take it. Thank you very much. The little girl spoke with surprising formality as she turned and headed up Dogenzaka. Hachi gathered up the trash and tossed it into the garbage bin before he and Hitomi continued on their way. Hachi led Hitomi to an old multi-tenant building. They hurried inside and headed up the stairs. Behind the reception window on the second floor sat the custodian, sleeping on the job. Yukinori Kitajima. His main job is overseeing the monitoring room for the local surveillance cameras, but on the side he also works as a novelist and a game scenario writer. He often sleeps on the job during his free time, but sometimes while he's asleep he gets his writing done. Wait, but sometimes while he's asleep he gets his How? He's sleeping. What the fuck? How does that even work? Just recently, a certain game was released, set in Shibuya, but since he wrote the scenario and emailed it to the game company while he was asleep, he didn't know about it until just the other day. How can you be locked in when how can you write when you're asleep? What the fuck? Is this guy like Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll? Hey, wake up, man! Mr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde. Dr. Heed and just best. Archie gave the window a tap, and the man woke with a start. Huh? A Chi-Chi? Don't scare me like that. That's one Chi too many. And wow, you sure seem to have a lot of free time on your hands. There should be experiments done for sleep writing. Yeah, no one's been by to check today. But that's not so bad, right? I mean, I guess it is the surveillance room, but still. The man let out a big yawn. My dad asked me to come down here and check on these security monitors, actually, Archie said. Sorry to bother you when you're busy, Hitomi added with a polite bow. Huh? Who are you? You with the Chi-Chi? I'm Hitomi Osawa. It's nice to meet you. Oh, what, you a Chi-Chi's girlfriend? Again, too many Chis in there, and that's none of your business. Just let me have the key. Hoping his blush wasn't too obvious, Archie mimed, unlocking a door. You won't answer a simple question, and you want me to hand over the key? Yes, I'm his girlfriend, Hitomi said. We've just started dating. So I'm sure I'll be seeing more of you, sir. She flashed a winning smile. Oh, well, what a surprise. Never thought a Chi-Chi could land a fine lady like yourself. The surprised custodian held out the key. Good for you, Chi-Chi. He looks like what you would get if V-Lone Predator edited Hannibal Buress to be Japanese. Still, one Chi too many there. But yeah, dating. Archie gazed into Hitomi's face, even more surprised than the custodian. The key dangled, swaying to and fro like a pendulum between Archie and the man behind the counter. Archie, Hitomi said, nudging him in the side with her elbow. Come on. Oh, right. Snapping out of it, Archie took the key and headed up to the next floor. I'm sorry, Hitomi said as they entered the monitoring room. We're just saying we were dating like that. I mean, it was a pretty clumsy lie. Oh no, it was just kind of sudden is all. I was just a bit jittery, I guess. Archie felt his cheeks color again. I mean, I figured I had to say something or he wasn't going to cooperate, Hitomi said. She looked a little embarrassed herself. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make things weird. No, Archie said. Nah, it wasn't weird at all. Actually, it was kind of... He stopped himself there. Now wasn't the time they had for that sort of conversation. They needed to find that minivan. The surveillance camera monitoring room was really just a big office with a single computer. Archie knew it well. So this is the monitoring system, he explained. He switched on the computer. You can see all of downtown Shibuya from this one computer. Hitomi gazed impatiently at the monitor, even though it wasn't showing anything yet. The look of sheer determination on her face held Archie enthralled. You talk about how attractive your sister is, Archie murmured. But as far as I'm concerned, right now you're the lovely one, Hitomi. Hitomi looked at him, uncertain. I mean, look at the lengths you're going to and the risks you're taking to save your sister, Archie said. Can't bear the thought that something might happen to her, and this is the last time we were and the last time we were together I said such horrible things. Plenty of people do bad things without even realizing they're bad. Never mind trying to fix it. I'm just doing what I think is right. Yeah, but these days most people don't do the right thing. Heck, if they did, Shibuya wouldn't be covered in trash like it is. Me, I appreciate it when someone really cares about the things that are important. Doing the right thing as a matter of course, that's very attractive. Archie blushed as he said it, and Hitomi shyly looked away. Ah, I think the system is ready. Turning to the computer, Achi hastily changed the subject. This thing's so simple, even I know how to use it. Clicking on the mouse, he brought up a row of 4 windows on the monitor. Each window showed a different view of the Shibuya cityscape. The image's quality isn't great, but that's because it's being updated on a 2-second delay, I guess. Achi tapped on the keyboard, bringing up different shots of different locations. He clicked on one of them in order to enlarge the image. Maybe we really can find that minivan with this. Hitomi was practically glued to the screen. My dad's the one who designed the security system. Your dad must be pretty amazing. Well, he graduated top of his class at Tokyo Denko University, a prestigious national university founded over a century ago. Applicants who place highly on the entrance exam can receive a full scholarship. Achi's father was one such attendee. The school has supported extensive research into artificial intelligence and recently announced an AI program known as Body. While the computer is asleep, different personalities emerge, which have an impact on various normal thought processes, forming a network of more human-like thought patterns as a result. Dear God. He always said he could had a career in computer engineering, but he took over the electronics shop so that he could marry my mother instead. Such a sweet story. They run the store together, then? Achi shook his head. No. My mother died when I was 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Hitomi sounded even sadder than Achi. Well, anyway, never mind that. Here, look. The seedy-looking weirdo they'd run into at Gigo was on the screen. Huh? That guy again. Said weirdo was running all out, a laptop computer under one arm. He was being chased by a man in a long coat. That guy sure gets chased around a lot, huh? Achi said. When the weirdo slipped out of view, Achi switched to another camera. The new view showed the weirdo running again. By hopping from camera to camera, they could track him wherever he went. So long as we have these cameras, Achi said, this guy has nowhere to run. Nowhere to run, huh? The moment he said those words, they struck an odd chord in his mind. He remembered their repeated run-ins with the man with the cane, how the assassin had always seemed to know where to find them. Achi, please, Hitomi urged. Stop messing around and let's look for the minivan. Ah, right, my bad. Achi switched over to a different camera. He continued switching views, scanning the streets of Shibuya, but there was no sign of a blue minivan anywhere. Still, they remained glued to the monitor. Oh, that's me. Hitomi took out her cell phone. It's an email from Mr. Tanaka. Ah, okay. Yeah, it was about time for my mood to take a dip, Achi thought. What? Hitomi blurted. She looked up from her phone. Achi, Mr. Tanaka found the minivan. He what? What does he say? Read it to me. Okay. I ran after it, but wound up losing sight of it. It was heading towards Jinan. That's what he says. What about your sister? Was she inside? He doesn't say. Achi switched over to an array of surveillance cameras near Jinan. The few seconds the transition took felt agonizingly slow. Finally, 4 new images popped up. Achi quickly enlarged one of them. Ah! Hitomi let out a tiny gasp. There on the monitor was the blue minivan. There was no doubt about it. Achi and Hitomi rushed from the building, speeding towards Jinan in an all-out run. Run, Achi! Run, Hitomi! Run, other guy who's looking for Miku. Oh, we're getting some decent jumps here. Neither spoke, they simply dashed along in silence. Achi felt as if they'd been running a marathon and the finish line had finally come into view. They hooked a left at the station and darted past the Seibu department store. Aha! Achi pointed as he came to a stop. The blue minivan was still there, parked by the curb along the slight hilly incline. Leaving Achi behind, Hitomi started rushing up the hill. Alarm bells started going off in Achi's mind. Someone from the kidnapping crew was in that van. It was dangerous to approach carelessly. Stay back! Don't get too close! Achi shouted. But she didn't appear to hear his cries. The hope of rescuing her sister had driven all else from her mind. Achi started to run after her. Hitomi had reached the vehicle already. She brought her face close to one of its windows. But the tinted glass obscured the view inside. Hitomi circled around the minivan's other side. Achi saw her grasping at the door. She slipped out of his view for just a moment. There was a thunderous explosion, and a gout of flame tore the roof off the minivan like it was made of aluminum foil. Hitomi! Horrified, Achi charged through roiling smoke even, searching for Hitomi. He saw two figures sprawled on the street several meters from the van. Hitomi and Kanon. Hitomi, wake up! Achi cradled her in his arms, and her eyes drifted open faintly. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Hitomi didn't appear to understand him. Her only response was a blank, dazed look. There was a small patch of red on her face. Achi wiped it gently away with a finger. He saw no further signs of bleeding. She must have been splattered by someone else's blood then. As far as he could tell, she hadn't been gravely injured. Achi let out a sigh of relief. Hitomi, is she alright? Wait, Hitomi, is she alright? Kanon stirred on the ground. Her clothes were scorched in places, and she was bleeding from her head. Kanon, did you save her? Is she alright? Yeah, what about her sister? Kanon didn't respond. No, can't be. Achi went to look inside the van. Amidst the smoke and the flames, he could make out the outline of a body. What happened here? Achi had to look away. Get Hitomi out of here. Hurry. If those guys show back up... Kanon's face twisted up with pain. All right. Achi settled Hitomi carefully in his arms. Wait, I need to tell you something. Kanon's pained gasp called him back. Alfred. Huh? Alfred. That's the name of the mastermind. I'm sure it'll come up again if you keep pursuing this. But if you value your life, don't get involved with Alfred any further. Now go. Okay, and thanks. With Hitomi in his arms, Achi hurried from the scene. He wasn't sure where he was heading. He just wanted to get away, wherever that meant. He carried her past the crowd of onlookers that had swiftly begun to assemble. The flames of the burning van rose ever higher, roaring up toward the heavens. Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting, like, change of, like, this, like, the intro cinematic where the van explodes. So let's see here. Oh, we have a to be continued in the middle of an hour. Oh, shit. Well, let's go ahead and jump to Minorikawa. Oh shit, wait. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Running along Koendori in pursuit of Miku, Minorikawa heard a cell phone ringtone coming from somewhere nearby. Oh no. Suddenly, a massive fiery blast knocked him from his feet. A deafening roar set his head throbbing. What was that? What's going on? He lay in a daze on the ground, trying to wrap his mind around what had just happened. He smelled the foul scent of burning rubber. Then came a sound of quick footsteps rushing up to him. Mr. Minorikawa! A voice called out to him, as if across an impossible distance. Mr. Minorikawa! Was that Miku? He forced his eyes open and saw Miku looking anxiously down at him. Mr. Minorikawa. Miku, those things I said earlier. I'm sorry. I went too far. What are you talking about? That's not important right now. Miku choked back a gasp. Minorikawa realized he had blood leaking from his mouth. His body wouldn't move, and his mind was reeling. What happened? Tell me. Miku's voice was dry and hoarse. There was a minivan. It exploded. Exploded? A minivan exploded on a city street? That sounded like a terrorist act. His reeling mind drifted back to the attempted bio-terrorist attack on Kasumi Gaseki 2 years earlier. An unoccupied minivan had exploded outside an MPD station, and afterward, a device meant to scatter a dangerous biological agent had been discovered near the subway. With sudden clarity, Minorikawa recalled what Osawa had said earlier. The power balance of the entire world might be at stake here. Could there be some sort of connection between Osawa's warning and this explosion? There was. There had to be. Minorikawa's journalistic intuition told him it must be true. Something terrible was underway here in Shibuya. Police! A man in a suit announced. He crouched beside Minorikawa and gently lifted his head and torso. Hang in there, buddy. Stay with us. The change of position allowed Minorikawa to clear his airway, and he sucked in a deep breath. But as he did, an intense pain shot through his lungs. I think I might be done for. Whatever his intuition might be telling him, it didn't look like he'd ever be able to write about it. But if he couldn't get his words onto the page, the least he could do was tell someone else. With his last act, maybe he could still accomplish something. He strained to get a few words out. Osawa, Kenji Osawa, the power balance of the entire world. As his voice failed, he heard the sound of ambulance sirens approaching. Paramedics began frantically unloading stretchers. Turning his head, he saw a number of other people who'd been injured in the explosion laid out on the roadside. Among them were a woman and a child. Emergency workers bearing a stretcher came over to Minorikawa. "Forget about me. I'm beyond helping. See to the others instead," Minorikawa shouted inwardly, but no one heard. Only to find a few simple words can change his fate. Someone who shouts something at 15:30 needs to change what it is they shout. If Minorikawa hears something that grabs his attention, he may not get too close to the explosion. I think I know. I definitely know. Wait. There we go. Hitomi, wait! As he ran along Koendori after Miku, Minorikawa heard someone shout out a familiar name. Hitomi. It was a pretty common name. Ordinarily, he wouldn't have given it a second thought, but he remembered that one of the Miss Midoriyama winners was named Hitomi Osawa. That made him curious. A moment later, he heard a cell phone ringtone. He immediately recognized it as an Ayakamiki song. His reporter's instincts tingled. He stopped to take a look around, and one young woman caught his eye almost immediately. He couldn't assume that any pretty girl he saw was Miss Midoriyama. After all, it'd be a little too convenient if he just so happened to run into her now. Still, it didn't cost him anything to ask, "Are you Hitomi Osawa?" He might as well at least check. But to his own surprise, he hesitated in embarrassment. He'd never been too embarrassed to ask a question before. He didn't get a chance to contemplate that realization. I definitely love seeing a van blow up 7 different times. A massive fiery blast knocked him from his feet. A deafening roar set his head throbbing. What was that? What's going on? He lay in a daze on the ground, trying to wrap his mind around what had just happened. Behind him, there was a minivan fiercely ablaze. Minivan. Explosion. The first thing to pop into his mind was the attempted bioterrorist attack on Kasumi Giseki 2 years earlier. Yeah. Wait. In the end, no one had been harmed, but there were rumors that the government had paid a terrorist organization a hefty sum to keep it that way. Right now, Minorikawa was still a stone's throw from the Shibuya precinct. Could this be a repeat of the Kasumi Giseki attack? The entire area was in an uproar. People were running around in a panic. Minorikawa could see several injured people lying on the ground, unmoving. And yet, despite the gravity of the situation, numerous onlookers were casually taking photos with their cell phones. Minorikawa got to his feet, then went to try to get everyone away from the scene of the explosion. "Hey, you guys! Get back! There could be another bomb!" Minorikawa looked around as he pushed back the crowd. He was getting the strong whiff of a scoop. He needed to write his copy ASAP, but he couldn't just turn his back on the situation now. 2 young men were strolling toward the burning vehicle. They had the look of juvenile delinquents. "Whoa, what the heck? Is this for real? Ain't this dangerous? Like, for serious?" The pair tried to find an optimal vantage point. "Hey!" Minorikawa snapped. "Don't get any closer." He spread his arms wide to hold them back. The young men came to a halt, but otherwise paid him no heed. Oh, this is bad. This is for real bad. Think this is a terrorist attack? Yo, get out your phone. Come on. But like, you think this is a terrorist thing? Dude, shut up. Just hurry up and call Suzumu. The taller of the two, dressed in red, was ordering around his blue-clad companion. Huh? The boy in blue huffed. Man, do it yourself. Say what now? Bitch, this ain't no time to get yourself all worked up. Minorikawa stood there, arms still held wide, getting more and more annoyed at their back and forth. Yo, just make the call, man. The young fellow in red scowled. He wasn't going to back down. Huh? Yo, what difference does it make if I do it or you do it? Doesn't make any difference, so it don't matter if you do it. Yeah, right, it don't matter. So in that case, you do it. Look, I'm telling you just to make the damn call. And I'm telling you just to make it your damn self. Oh, enough of this already. Minorikawa opened his mouth to tell them off, but then the young man in red spoke again. Dude, the goods from over at Endo Electronics are gone. You gotta let Suzumu know. The name Endo Electronics caught Minorikawa's attention. Huh? Yeah, but ain't that all that Achi dude's fault for getting all huffy at us? I mean, it was Kiryu who told us to go find the Endo storehouse. Hold on just a second. I need to make the lighting more sinister. The Endo storehouse, you say? I haven't heard of any other storehouse in specific. Yeah, but Suzumu don't like dealing in stolen goods. It says it dirties the SOS name. Well, what a coincidence. Looked like these two were SOS members. Hey, Minorikawa called out. You two. He finally succeeded in getting their attention. Where's this Suzumu fellow? I'd like to talk to him. He had no idea who Suzumu was, having only heard the name just now. Still, from the way these two were talking, it seemed like he held some position of leadership. You think I'd tell you if I knew? The fellow in red snarled. Minorikawa kept his composure. Listen, you guys know the Tenryugumi? The Tenryugumi was a Yakuza syndicate that operated in Shibuya. An up-and-coming Yakuza syndicate that turned up on the scene 10 years ago. With the seemingly legitimate Takarada financing as its business front, the group offered monetary solutions for people in financial trouble, but those who accept their offers soon find that their troubles only grow and grow. Embroiled in conflict within the Kanto Shiramine Gumi, who have long been established in Shibuya. These street kids were sure to be familiar with the name, if nothing else. I may not look it, but I'm in pretty tight with the Tenryugumi. And maybe you two don't know it, but Suzumu's been showing up at their office a lot lately. Suzumu's been dealing with the Yakuza? Whoa, for real? Sweet! The two punks bought it completely. What's SOS using as their hangout these days? We got a little something to discuss with Suzumu. Right now, it's this bar called Inferno. Minorikawa made a mental note of the name. Right, and Inferno is where exactly? The two young men suddenly looked distinctively uncomfortable. Uh-oh. Later! Yeah, I got a thing to do, too. Backing away, they took off through the crowd. Hey, wait up! I need to know where Inferno is! But the pair had already vanished. Ambulances arriving at the scene, and paramedics rushed out to tend to the wounded. Excuse me, would you mind answering a few questions? Minorikawa turned to see a man in a suit approach him, flashing his badge. So a detective with questions for him, huh? How about you answer a few questions for me? Was this an accident or an attack? We still don't know many details. Let me rephrase that for you. This is a major incident, Minorikawa exclaimed. Huh? The detective looked pretty flummoxed. I've been around the block a few times and I know all your police PR lingo. And when you start talking about the details, that is 100% indicative of a major incident. Brushing aside Minorikawa's remarks, the detective tried another question. Did you happen to notice anything unusual prior to the explosion? Unusual? Minorikawa thought back to the moments before the minivan blew up. Now that you mention it, I think I heard a cell phone ringtone. The detective tilted his head. A ringtone? No, never mind. Forget that. There's no way the ringtone on someone's phone would be audible through all that. Minorikawa struck the thought from his own mind as he said it. In all likelihood, he had associated the ringtone and the explosion simply because one had happened right before the other. Kano. A large-statured Caucasian man had called out to the detective. Evidently, the detective's name was Kano. Thank you for your cooperation, he said with a bow. Then he ran over to the foreigner. Mr. Minorikawa! Minorikawa turned at a female voice behind him. He found Miku standing there. She looked like she'd been crying. Miku, about earlier. I trailed off, searching for an apology. It's okay, that doesn't matter right now. Miku looked around at the scene. Minorikawa followed her gaze. Something big went down here, he said. I know, she exclaimed. The explosion. I saw it happen with my own eyes. You what? Miku looked around nervously. You all right? He asked her. You're not hurt, are you? I'm okay. My ears are still ringing a bit, is all. Good. So, what did you see at the time of the explosion? Miku assumed a thoughtful expression. There was this girl who was running toward the minivan, and then I think I saw this other Middle Eastern girl suddenly make a dive for her, and then the van just exploded. Wait, hold on, Minorikawa said. So if I'm getting this right, it sounds like this Middle Eastern girl saved the girl who was running up to the van? Miku nodded. Just then, Minorikawa's phone chimed. He'd received an email. It was from Chiaki. Mr. Mino, are you still working on your copy? He checked his watch. At this point, the 4 o'clock deadline was barely 20 minutes away. Nonetheless, he decided to stay at the bomb scene. He could definitely smell a scoop here, he was sure of it. Even if he couldn't get his 6 pages done by 4, landing a major scoop should be enough to persuade the loan company. Minorikawa jotted his phone number down and handed it to Miku. I'll make things up to you, he said. Give me a call later. Miku took the scrap of paper, puzzled. If you're looking for an Aiki Jujutsu dojo, I know a few. At that, her face lit up. Minorikawa decided to process the scene for clues. As he wandered around, he caught sight of Detective Kano and his Caucasian colleague heading down an alley. What's that I smell? Something pretty damn fishy. They were slipping away for a private conversation. Maybe there was some way he could listen in. Minorikawa hurried onto one of the buildings that bordered the alley. He looked around for a public bathroom upstairs on the alley side of the building. Hoping beyond hope, he slipped up to the bathroom window. Voices outside. He held his breath and listened. Those international criminals you mentioned? Kano's words were faint, but he could make them out. Minorikawa did a little fist pump. Correct. Roughly 8 hours ago, they infected Maria Osawa with the Uwa virus. Then they let her loose somewhere in Shibuya. Hold on. By Uwa, you mean... The discussion involved some terms Minorikawa wasn't familiar with. He focused all of his mental energy on what the two were saying. This is a killer virus with a 100% mortality rate once it takes hold. 100%? Minorikawa muttered to himself. The shock caused him to unclench the fist he didn't realize he made. This wasn't just an interesting conversation. This was monumental. It has an incubation period of 12 hours. In another 4 hours, Maria Osawa will go symptomatic. After that, she'll begin spreading the virus through the city. Capable of airborne transmission?
we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms, yes, everyone in Shibuya is going to die. Minorikawa felt goosebumps rise all over his body. They were talking about a virus and a Kenji Osawa. They could only mean that Kenji Osawa. He recalled what Osawa said earlier about the power balance of the world being at stake. There was no doubt about it. There was a tremendous scoop. This was a tremendous scoop. Well then, we need to find Maria Osawa and get to the antiviral to her as soon as possible. Just calm down, there's more to the story. Oh, it's starting to leak out. The door swung open and someone came barging into the bathroom. Oh, you... It was Yanagashita. Why him again? And why here of all places? Oh, I'm leaking here! Yanagashita was on the verge of hysterics. His voice must have been audible outside. Hana and his companion went to take their discussion elsewhere. And they'd just been getting to the good part. You son of a bitch! Enraged, Minorikawa grabbed Yanagashita and tossed him to the floor. I'm leaking! Shut your mouth. He put all of his strength into an ankle hold and gave it a good twist. A professional wrestling technique that involves grabbing the opponent by the ankle. Being caught up like that can be extremely painful. It also puts a lot of pressure on the lower body, and if you're already fighting the urge to urinate, well... Ah! Yanagashita wailed. Ah! Minorikawa left the idiot blubbering in the bathroom and hurried out of the building. He hadn't heard the whole discussion, but he had a good scoop on his hands anyway. This would be a tremendous score for Heaven Publishing, enough to let the company rebuild. He was certain of it. And if I'm the one saying it, it's gotta be true. As he ran along, Minorikawa tried to plan his next steps. First, he had to get back to the editing office. He had explained the situation to the people from the loan company. Then he'd go find that paperwork for Osawa, and have Chiaki check his copy. And then after that... Okay, so he still had a lot of other things he needed to do. He swatted himself on both cheeks to get himself psyched up. His phone rang. His phone rang. It was Chiaki. Mr. Mino, something terrible has happened. Chiaki's voice was a broken yelp. Whoa, calm down. Over on Koendori, this minivan exploded. Ah, yeah, I'm well aware. Thanks to that, I've got a big scoop that... Chiaki cut him off. Just now, I got a call from Mr. Toyama's daughter, Hana. This time, Minorikawa waited for her to finish. He had a sinking feeling. She said that Mr. Toyama was in there. It was a suicide. Minorikawa's cheeks buckled. Tell me you're joking. No, I mean, the van explosion is all over the news, and Hana was in tears on the phone, and... Mr. Mino? Mr. Mino, are you still there? Toyama had... killed himself? Minorikawa felt the energy drain from his body. Holy shit. That's heavy. I think I have time for one more thing, maybe. Let's check up on Kano himself. Actually, no. Let's finish up Maria first. The assassin has gone quiet, sitting on a pile of crates. He seems lost in thought. Still, I don't dare try to get away. All I can do is yeah, who am I? Just who am I? Who am I?
Tama! Tama! I am... none of the above. None of those fit me at all. Oh, shit. I turn at the sound of an exuberant voice and see Mr. Yanagashita running my way, flailing his arms in a friendly greeting. I swear this guy could wind up banished to the pits of hell and he'd still give it his all, day in and day out. Oh, thank goodness! It is you, Tama! I knew it! The man with the cane grumbles something incoherent, then holsters his gun and flees the scene. Huh. Now you with some middle-aged guy? You look so sweet and innocent, but I guess you kinda get around, huh? Ah, nice timing. I do a little fist pump. Whatever he's doing here, I'm glad he drove off that guy with the gun. Hmm? What are you so happy about? Yanagashita gives me a puzzled look. But he's promptly distracted by his own excitement. Well, anyway, never mind that, Tama. He shifts down to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, I'm such an idiot. I can't believe I was in such a tizzy over some silly scratch card from a magazine. I can tell he has news he's itching to tell me. Did something happen? Well, tee. He brings a hand to his mouth and giggles unsettlingly. I had a great little idea. A great way to strike it rich. I feel like I've heard this from you before. Mr. Yanagashita shakes his head fervently. This time it's different. We're talking way more digits than before. Now try not to be too surprised, yeah? Spittle flies from his mouth as he rattles on. Or, it's okay to be surprised, actually. In fact, I'm guessing you're definitely gonna be amazed by it this time, Tama. And practically see the banknotes dancing in his eyes. Cut to the chase already. What is it that you want to tell me? This time, get this! I got a line on 10 million yen! He thrusts his index finger skyward, grinning ear to ear. Wait. Surprised now? Yeah, you are. And it doesn't require any capital. It's a no-risk, high-return. In the world of equity investment, a wise investor weighs risk against the potential for return. Many heavily risky projects, however, yield little in the way of actual returns. Such cases are called high risk, low return. The inverse, low risk, high return, is quite rare, but the idea of no risk, high return is simply absurd. There's a crazy gleam in his eye. Oh man, I'm finally gonna get to be a part of the Billionaires Club. Oh man, I'm finally gonna get to be a part of the Billionaires Club! That is so ridiculous I don't even have a snappy retort for it. Never mind that 10 million obviously wouldn't make him a billionaire. By the way, you haven't seen Chiri, have you? We're gonna need her help to wrap up this 10 million yen. Chiri? No, I haven't run into her since the sales demo. Oh darn. Well, if you do happen to see her, tell her to get in touch with me. Sure, alright. I still don't know what he's going on about, but there's probably no harm in being helpful. Thank you, Tama. Guess I may as well give you a little hint. Hint? Yeah, a hint. Want to hear it? No, not particularly. Oh, okay. Thanks for helping me out with that Chiri thing. Adios! And then, like a whirlwind, Mr. Yanagashita zooms away, leaving me alone in the alley. Ugh. Suddenly, I feel totally exhausted. I let out a sigh and drop my eyes. And that's when I notice a notebook on the ground at my feet. Did the assassin drop this? I pick it up and look inside. There's a photograph tucked inside the cover. It shows 3 young people, 2 boys and a girl. Well, what do I do now? Do I go to the police? Or would I even explain the situation? I can see it now. There's this killer out there, and he's after this person named Totomi Osawa. And then the police would be like, who is that? And who exactly is after her? And then what would I say? Like, they might not even give me the time of day in the first place. Not only do I not have any idea who Hitomi Osawa is, I know nothing about the guy who's after her except that he walks with a cane. I mean, I can't even tell them who I am. They'd probably shoo me away without a second thought. What am I supposed to do? I hang my head at a total loss. The necklace around my neck sways idly to and fro. Keep out. And I know where to go for this one. I believe. Oh wait, no, wrong spot. Easter. Eventually, I muster up the energy to start walking around town, heading nowhere in particular. The billboard outside of a department store displays a poster of some female musician. She must be pretty popular because lots of passers-by stopped to take a good look. Am I just imagining things? I feel like I saw this same poster somewhere very recently. Standing underneath the sign is a woman talking on her cell phone. Sounds like she's having an argument with whoever's on the line. I don't want to be nosy, so I just pass on by. As I come out onto Koendori, I gradually come to a halt. I'm a little tired from all this aimless wandering around. I let my gaze stray along the street as I consider my next move. Then I catch sight of a blue minivan parked across the street. Oh! Suddenly my heart starts pounding. I know this. I know this minivan. If I head over to it, I'm sure I'll remember something. As if pulled by some huge magnet, I make my way toward the vehicle. You idiot. There's a sudden thunderous boom. I'm knocked flat by a blast of energy, and the world goes all topsy-turvy. As I lie in shock, a wave of unfamiliar images fills my mind. A cloud of whirling dust in some place that isn't Japan. A simple room with unfamiliar architecture. A girl. And I know the girl's name. Her name is... On the verge of that revelation, my consciousness fades away. What? Maria arrived on Koendori just in time to get caught in the minivan explosion. If she's going to avoid this fate, she needs to stay away from that vehicle. Someone else's actions can ensure that Hana Toyama crosses paths with her again. Then Maria will talk to her and avoid the minivan. Well, this case has certainly taken some interesting turns into explosions. Didn't expect the well, whatchamacallit, the van to come back and explode so soon, but it had to come eventually. So, with that said, I think I will end things off here for tonight. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next stream, whenever that is. Take care, everybody, and I hope you all have a great night in the meantime. Bye-bye.